on Thursday, December 14th. We have a quorum, so I'll call this New Ulm Public Library Board meeting to order. First item is the presentation to an outgoing board member by Mayor Boisman.
Good thing I got here when I did. The Library Board presents this recognition award to Cheryl Jablinski for service to the community by serving on the board as a member from January 2015 to December 2017, given this 14th day of December 2017.
Thank you.
Speech.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I have to admit, it was very fun being on the board. It was fun to learn the background on what goes on behind the scenes. I'd always been a patron of the library, but it was fun to be in the learning more about how it all happened. The library was there. So thank you.
Thanks for your service, Cheryl.
And you're welcome to come back if you reconsider. No.
It's always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we'll go on to the approval of the agenda, which is printed out here in front of you. There is one addition. There's a second resolution that we'll be handling tonight that Chris handed out just prior to the meeting. Anything else, Chris? So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I will make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second. Oops. Go ahead.
Now fight over, let Cheryl do it.
I'll second it.
Last one.
Let Cheryl do it.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, the only other the addition was the resolution 2017-45, the approving use of memorial funds to purchase a book display. So, hearing no other discussion then, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Now we can approve the minutes from the November 9th, 2017 Library Board meeting. Everyone has a copy of the meeting minutes in their packet. And I'll entertain a motion to accept and approve the minutes from the November 9th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, corrections, edits that anyone's known of? Okay, hearing none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll move on to the November 2017 financial report and summary. Chris.
Thank you. That begins on page 6. We're 91.2% through 2017. Our budget is about 83.69% expended. Expenses continue to track as I expect. We are purchasing some computer supplies and equipment. We did receive the portable projector screen and the Blu-ray player. Our reference librarian's computer is on its last leg. She was due for a new one in 2018. I'm hoping she gets one before the end of the year. Our IT manager is getting quotes, but our computer supplies budget will absorb that, and then she'll be back up and running in good shape. And a reminder that the prepaid items will be adjusted in 2018, usually by March. A note under contractual maintenance building, the Minnesota Music Hall of Fame had an issue with something very technical to do with their heating, and it was specifically an issue in their part of the building. It had to be accessed in the storage area, which is shared by the Hall of Fame and the library, but it affected the Hall of Fame only. How it works based on the lease agreement that the city has signed with the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame pays the first $400 of any single repair item inside the building. This has never come up in my time where it's been something just specifically Hall of Fame related that could exceed $400. So I haven't received a bill yet. It is fixed, and I'm sure I'll be letting you know in January what the bill was and how that will get paid. And just as a note, the Hall of Fame has a 5-year lease agreement through November 2020. I took a look because we're at the end of the year. This year, to maintain library operations, we've spent about $60,000 a month. Based on the prepaids that we're expecting that have to be adjusted in 2018, my best guess, and this is just a very rough estimate, we will be about $35,000 under budget for the year. Anything we're under budget goes into fund balance to be used for these big projects that we've had in the past. And in 2018, you've already approved using $10,000 for carpeting replacement. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Chris, is that underspending due primarily to not being fully staffed for the entire year?
Yes, it's really based on the full-time staffing. If you look at page 7, and the very first expense item is salaries regular, that is a large portion of money that's gone unspent, and it was because we didn't have an assistant director for a period of time. There are other areas where we are underspent. There are a couple areas where we're overspent. And we look at the budget as a whole. At least that's what the finance director and the city manager has talked to me about over time as we look at the entire budget. But when you look at line by line, things like that really stick out.
Anything else for Chris on this topic? All right, hearing none, then we'll move on to the librarian's report, library department activities report, and statistics. Chris?
Thank you. That begins on page 17. The elevator replacement project began November 27th. It continues. April told me today that Elwood, our building official, has indicated that we hope that the final inspection occurs early next week, but by next Thursday at the latest. Knock on wood. It's been really just fine. MEI has worked very well with the library staff and has been accommodating for a couple of programs. And the patrons are incredibly patient with this process. And in the end, it will be a good thing. Friends of the Library book sale generated about $2,000 in sales and an additional $520 in memberships. And the Barnes & Noble Book Fair that occurred at the end of November generated almost $550. So we appreciate all that they do for us. We're working on some staff meetings that focus on customer service training, and April is leading that. We had a staff meeting that included a webinar talking about extreme customer service, and then city staff is also going to attend a alcohol and drug awareness session next week. We're also working with the police department to schedule ALICE training, active shooter training. We're hoping in March of 2018. April and our acquisitions librarian, Betty Roeger, attended the Insights Discovery Personality Workshop on November 8th. I thought Betty's write-up in the packet was especially inspired this month, and it is online for anybody to look at and just kind of get a feel for her personality. It really comes out in that write-up. Jan Caveney, our Youth Services Librarian, attended the TDS Cooperative Teen Services meeting in North Mankato. She also recently attended a children's meeting. It's a great way for her to connect and network with those librarians who do what she does and have a great deal of knowledge and experience to share with her. And Lisa Sieve and I actually submitted last night a Memory Lab Network grant funded by the Institute for Museum and Library Services. That's a national group in partnership with the Washington, D.C. Public Library and the Public Library Association. This would allow us to get equipment and training to expand our digitization in the community. Right now we have a scanner, and we train people one-on-one to scan their slides, photographs, documents. But this would allow us to do things like oral history projects and conversion of films to a digital. And they're only giving 7 grants in the whole country. But I was so happy when we finished our grant. I think it's a strong application, and we'll just wait and see. It's going to come back to us in just a few weeks.
Say 7 for the whole country?
7 for the whole country. Yeah. I know. but I couldn't.
Even exists?
I couldn't not try. It just seemed to fit this community so well. We'll see what happens. And then April submitted a grant for a project titled Becoming American, a documentary film and discussion series on our immigration experience. It's based on documentary film screenings, and Dan Hoisington has agreed to be the scholar who would lead the discussions. And she'll let you know perhaps when we'll find out about that. I think it's a little bit longer than we have to wait for the other grant, but she'll, I think, be able to answer that question. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
One comment, I saw Professor Dave Gosbeck today, and we just talked a little bit, and then he said he saw we were doing something with the elevator. And then he just brought something up. He said, we did that up to college. And he said, lo and behold, when they put the structure in there, it only went up one floor, but when they put the structure in there, they didn't do a good job on the base, so the acid and stuff for the use of the elevator was leaking around, destroying the bottom. So he said a simple replacement turned into a fairly big deal. So it was just, I thought that was, he was like me, you know, you think once it's put in that, okay, it's done, so.
Right.
But that was just the only comment, so.
All right, anything else for Chris?
I do have a note on the statistics. The Overdrive Statistics became available yesterday. So let me go to where I wrote those down. November of 2017, so this past month, 545 Overdrive circulations compared to 2016, 566, and 2015, 561. So flat, as is our circulation. And our useful computer use is up just a little bit. We're getting quite a few donations from libraries around TDS at the end of the year for Overdrive, and Betty is the selector for the entire region, and she's been pretty busy spending some money for those. So if you're an Overdrive user, take a look, because the collection is getting a nice bump, including $1,000 from New Ulm Library that you budgeted for this year. And that was sent and will be spent here at the end of the year.
All right, anything else for Chris? All right, if not, then we'll move on to programming with April.
We expect to know about the Becoming American grant December 21st. That's their notification date. So that one I think we submitted just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago now. On the adult programs here, we have the numbers for the past month or so. Does anyone have any questions on those?
I like the tabular format. It's easier to read.
All right, good. And then we have a correction to the upcoming adult programs right away here on the list. The mystery book group will be meeting on Monday, December 18th at 6:30, and that discussion is on Dead Zero by Stephen Hunter. And then the history book group will be meeting on Tuesday, December 19th at noon, reading The Accusation Forbidden Stories from Inside North Korea by Bandy. Other upcoming programs of note, on Tuesday, December 19th at 6:30, we have the Minnesota Valley Civil War Roundtable. Chris will be speaking at that roundtable, and she'll be presenting on Grant's victory at Vicksburg, which she focused on during her vacation earlier this fall. On Wednesday, December 20th at 12 p.m., we have Noon Tunes featuring Lee Weber. He'll be playing some Christmas music mixed with some other music, so we're excited to have him for that. On Wednesday, December 27th at 6 p.m., we continue the Vietnam War screening and discussion series. That actually started last night. We had an audience of 20 people, and they were very interested in the movie. The discussion is being led by Greg Peterson of Brown County Veteran Services, so we're very thankful for their support of that program. On January 3rd, Wednesday, January 3rd at 9:30, going until 12:30 p.m., we have a needlework group that's starting. This is a new group for the library. It's an open group where needleworkers of all kinds, so quilting, embroidery, knitting, they can bring in their projects that they're working on, their own equipment. So if they have sewing machines, we can provide outlets for those, and just come in and work together and chat and help each other with projects. And that'll be an ongoing group meeting the first and third Wednesdays of the month. We've got dates set up until May, and then we'll regroup and see how it's going and see if we need to adjust the schedule or anything. On Thursday, January 4th, we have the Great Courses series starting. That's an Experiencing Hubble is the name of that series. And that will be on the first and third Thursdays of the month, continuing through March. It's a video lecture series. We'll have a brief discussion after each lecture, but it's really sharing photos taken by the Hubble telescope and kind of talking about the photos that are being taken and what's being featured in those images. And that was a donation by Denny Warda, so we thank him for his support. And on Tuesday, January 9th at 6 p.m., we have the New Ulm Film Society. They'll be starting their new series, which will be Women Directors. The films are still being decided on, but once we have those, we'll be able to tell the schedule for the next 6 months of films. Can I answer any questions on upcoming programs? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to just mention regarding April, a couple of weeks ago, very last minute, Mary Ellen Domeyer from the New Ulm Area Foundation needed some assistance. And April just stepped right up and spent time out at the New Ulm Event Center making sure that their technology worked so that Mary Ellen could present to her whole group of donors. So big thanks to April for changing her schedule all the way around. We kind of know when we come into work what our day might look like, and then that's one of those days that everything was topsy-turvy. And so thanks, April. I really appreciate you doing that.
All right, then we'll move on to the staffing update, library aid information. Chris?
Yeah, we're sad to see our library aide, Sue Otto, leave us. She is retiring. Her last day will be December 27th. She's been with us for 5 years, and we will be replacing that position. It averages about 13 hours a week. It's nice to have that flexibility from that position. We can fill in when necessary. So congratulations to her, and we wish her the best, and then we'll work with Human Resources after the first of the year to get that position filled.
All right, then we'll move on to the Strategic Planning Committee update.
And if you look at page 26, you can see the strategic plan working document. The committee met this Tuesday, and so it does look a little different than what you see on page 26. We've cut an objective out of each goal, and that sort of helped my goal of making this a manageable document. We've talked about activities that would be featured under each objective. We got a lot of great suggestions and input and buy-in from the staff. My job now is to craft a document that the Strategic Planning Committee will approve at the end of January that we will bring to the full library board for your support at the February meeting, and then we can implement this plan. I don't think there are any surprises in the plan, but it provides a structure for the staff to move forward and for the library board and management at the library to assess every year. Are we meeting our goals? What are our goals? Are we meeting them? What do we need to change? And I'd be happy to answer any questions about that as well.
All right, then we'll move on to getting an update on the budget for 2018. Chris?
The City Council approved their final levy. There are no changes to the library budget from what you approved in January. So as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, $10,000 is coming out of fund balance for the carpeting project, and otherwise it's really a status quo budget from previous years.
Alrighty, and then last under the librarian's report, the school public library partnership update.
And then on page 27, you see a draft of the public library guidelines for school cards. April and I met with Seth Erickson, who is the tech services manager at TDS, and so there are some nitty-gritty pieces to work out when you set up a group of cards. Are we going to physically give them a card, and then what are the parameters for that card based on checkouts, holds, fines, loan periods? What you see on page 27 lists the guidelines that we have thought would work well. Now, this is a library board decision. Do you think these are okay? The other piece is we don't have any agreement. We haven't even talked to the school yet. And Ann Hokinson, the TDS executive director, has told me that MVL has not moved ahead with deciding whether they want to do this, and she has authorized me to talk to Jeff Bertrang at the public school to see if he would be interested in the public school being the first to implement this. He has emailed me before when we thought MVL would be the first school. He's interested. I haven't talked to him yet, but I would like to send him an email and see if he would like to be the first school.
This would be any child in the school system, whether they reside in the library district or not.
Correct.
Okay.
And our goal is to help facilitate their use of library materials with their schoolwork. If, in fact, they want to do recreational reading beyond a 5-item checkout, that's when they bring in their parent and get a general library card. So we want to facilitate the educational piece, and then there are ways for doing the recreational piece.
Was the rationale, when we're looking under loan periods, you're extending it to 35 days for them? Is that because they'd be working on a paper for a period of time, or?
And that's a good point. We were also thinking about the delivery time. We would be taking materials to them, and we want to give ourselves some padding with when we can get up there and actually get those materials and pick them up when they're done.
Okay.
So you're going to transport the books to the schools?
Yes.
What, on a weekly basis, or you
And
haven't decided that yet?
we have not,
Okay.
but I'm confident with the volunteer base that we have in the community that we can get volunteers to take those materials up there on a routine basis. And if nothing else, I'll be that volunteer.
Are we looking at specifically high school or middle school and elementary school too?
And that's a conversation that we will have with Jeff. My understanding from his email is he wants everybody, K
Yeah,
through
no.
12. Yes.
K through 12?
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if Seth at TDS is ready for that large of a number.
Yep.
And that was one of the reasons why MVL was so attractive. 200 students is pretty manageable to work out some kinks. That will be part of the discussion.
Have you had any requests by, students taking out that are not part of the district, coming in here and wanting materials for a project? Is there anything, have you ever had anything like that?
I can't say that I know when a student outside of the district comes into the library and uses the services. It's certainly possible. At MVL, there are students who live outside of Traverse de Sioux who go to school there, and they perhaps have a New Ulm Public Library card and
Pedro
use
has the
those.
same thing, not nearly as many, but they have the same thing. And
Yeah,
I'm just curious, but so,
I don't know.
okay.
They could also be using MinLink through their home library. And, in a roundabout way, they could be getting a New Ulm item from MinLink, from the statewide system. But I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful idea. Actually, just kids and teachers who need books, if a teacher has a unit or wants to supplement a book, your day gets really long when you do the search and it's not in the library. So you come down here and it's not here, and then you go up to MBO, it's not there. So it's a wonderful idea for students and for teachers as well.
We really want to facilitate the library staff's knowledge and ability to train some of the teachers in the resources that we all have access to. And I think this would be a natural fit, kind of open the door for that kind of collaboration.
Any other questions to Chris then? So we'll look forward to continual updates then as you progress through this. All right, now we'll move on to the action items. You refer to page 28. We'll take the first action item, which is resolution number 2017-44, first reading and adoption, accepting donation of lighting fixture and installation for Wandagog sculpture. The Wandagog Monument Committee, Inc., a 501c3 organization, requests that the library board accept its donation of a lighting fixture and its installation to illuminate the Wandagog sculpture located outside the library. Full Service Electric, the company that installed the outdoor lights in 2016, has provided a bid for the project. It will involve drilling into the round pole of the light nearest the sculpture and mounting a bullet-shaped die-cast aluminum flood with 10-watt LED light engine. If this project is approved today, Full Service will install the light as soon as possible. The library board's landscaping committee recommends accepting this donation. And then there's additional information. The picture shows the light pole where it's going to be mounted onto. And then based on the position of that, I'm assuming it's going to kind of illuminate from the back side or maybe from the side, but not, because we already have some illumination from the other lighting, but this will enhance that. And then follow-on pages 30 and 31 show the type of light that will be installed, the bullet style light.
Do we know if it'll be on a timer, the same timer as the new outdoor
That's a good
lights?
question. I don't know.
Jim Baranek at Full Service Electric indicated it would be on the same system as the current lights.
Oh, so when the lights go on, this goes on then. Okay.
And he looked at a couple of different positions for this lighting, but we need to illuminate her face. And to illuminate her face, it needs to be low and come up. The only,
What are we talking about? How high?
how high?
Off the ground?
Oh, it will be within a couple of feet off the ground, I would imagine.
Snow removal?
I'm not planning on much.
You don't think it'll be?
No. I might have to dust it off. But
It
it's
depends
not,
though,
it's very
it
small.
depends on when they're clearing the
Right.
sidewalk. If they throw the snow into that vicinity, it might pile up enough that it covers the light, so you might have to just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, they're gonna have to work around that. That's exactly what I was thinking of too. I mean, anything that's on there, the bulb heat should probably melt off by itself.
We'll keep an eye on it.
But if you're throwing 3 feet
gonna
of
be
snow
hot.
on it, that's
Yeah.
a different
It's not
story.
going to be a hot light.
Yeah, it's LED, so it's not going to be
LED.
generating too much
So
Oh,
it's
heat.
not
wait a
gonna
minute, it's
generate
LED,
heat.
that's right,
Yeah.
it won't.
Yeah.
There won't be any
Yep.
heat.
No, that's
won't
right,
be
it
any
won't
heat.
produce any heat.
We'll get a little broom and dust it off. The concern that we have is making sure that it's not going to interfere with any drivers. And we will be very careful when it's installed and we can make adjustments. And Jim is the one who brought that up right away. Making sure that we're aware of how that is shining, and if we need to make adjustments, we will do that.
So based on that, then it's one of those, is it adjustable more like up and down and then how they position it, or is it 360 or whatever?
I don't know that,
Okay.
Vince.
The way it looks like here, it looks like it only adjusts up and down, so.
Yeah.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to accept the donation of the lighting fixture and the installation for the Wandagog sculpture.
I will make a motion to accept the donation of the lighting fixture for the sculpture.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Like I said, the only thing I can think of is just to make sure you got it off the ground. On the ground is the best place for it trending up, but the higher up you are, the less maintenance that it involves.
All right, hearing no further discussion, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll move on.
Vince, if I could just mention a couple other things with the Wanagog Sculpture Group. They are continuing to look at the landscaping for that area, and their current process is pervious concrete for that area, so it would drain in a easier way. They also are looking, they received money for another bench, and it would be a replica of the bench that you approved the accepting the donation from the McCrae family. It looks just like it. They're still discussing what would be carved on it, which is why you don't have that donation acceptance resolution form today. I expect it to come before you in January.
You envision just having two benches then, Max?
Yes.
Okay.
Side by side or
No. They're
more
looking.
like this?
Yes. Yeah. One facing Broadway, one facing First North.
I imagine we'll see a layout once they determine how they want the area to look.
Right.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to resolution number 2017-45, which Chris handed out prior to the meeting. This will be the first reading and adoption, approving the use of memorial funds to purchase book display. The library requests that the library board approve the use of $700 in memorial funds to purchase the book display from Don Hoffmeister in memory of Janice Sellner. The library has received $1,215 in memorials for Janice Sellner, a longtime and well-known patron. All donors indicated their memorials were undesignated, meaning they were to go to the general 212 donations and memorials fund and not for a particular use. The library staff would like to use some of these memorial funds to purchase a mobile display cart. The light oak unit is 62 inches by 39 inches by 24 inches with 5 shelves and rolling casters, and there's an attached picture. The library would place a small plaque on the unit stating in memory of Janice Sellner. It would be used primarily in the adult fiction and nonfiction areas as well as for displaying books during programs. We received a bid from Demco for $1,156.54, which is $855.60 for the unit, $300.94 for shipping. Boy, that's pretty expensive shipping. Holy smokes. We received a bid from local woodworker Don Hoffmeister, former owner of Wooden Windows, to build an identical unit for $700. There are no shipping costs. Funding for the plaque would come out of the 211 operating fund. Estimated cost is $8. I don't understand. What do you mean the estimated cost?
Or the plaque.
Oh, the plaque, okay. That would be complete engraved and everything?
Yes.
Okay. So, I will entertain a motion to approve the use of memorial funds to purchase book display.
So move.
Any second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I just have one piece on that, and that, the plaque, that will be attached?
It is, the bid I got was from Nicholson. They do this kind of thing. And they told me it's appealable tape. So you peel off the back and
double back
just
tape, yeah.
Put down.
stick it.
Yeah, because if it's just something to stand on there, it'll end up disappearing.
It'll be flat.
Okay,
It would be flat and attached.
and attached, yep, okay.
Any other questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carried. And I don't think there's anything else, Chris?
You know,
Oh, wait,
I
wait,
did.
there might be.
There's always something more. Just a note to you that I'm meeting as part of the Cable Commission Advisory Board meeting at 5:15 this afternoon, where they will be, I'm hoping, accepting the new cat lease agreement, and which would go into effect the 1st of January. That's it.
Okay. If there's nothing else then, meeting adjourned.